Hey everybody, Jimmy with the Triple C Collective here on Commentary Track Comparisons Why the Last Man. With me as always, my co-host,
Ed Norton.
and we're ready to dive into episode 5 of Why the Last Man. As we do, let's start with our questions to start the episode. As always, where's Beth? We still haven't seen her.
No.
No. My second question, usually I have 3, but I only have 2 this time. My second question is, again, can 355 be trusted here? Like, episode 4 kind of leaves that hanging in the air.
Yeah, I think that's still up in the air.
Now, the episode opens coming in hot. We're in war-torn Boston. And the first things we see is right there is Fenway Park, walking through the street right next to it. Fenway's on the screen right or whatever to them, and then we see racism as American as baseball, and that 100% reminded me of the book.
Yeah.
Actually, no. In book 1, when they first get together, not book 2. But when they first initially go to Boston, and 355 says, just because the men died doesn't mean racism did.
Yeah.
And it was a really interesting thought, in the book, and what they're putting up here in the show that's an interesting take. It's something interesting to think about that, in the fact that racism goes against everybody in that sense, men and women.
Yeah.
Both have racial bias and views, and I don't know, I feel like the show, by even just putting something like that in there quickly, and not even quickly, you linger there for a minute, it's meant to make you sit and think about that, what we're doing now. And it's a powerful kind of beginning to this, of saying I almost feel like we're getting our boundaries starting to be pushed maybe a little bit from this point forward, a little bit more than what we've seen thus far.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to play it's always going to play a role, because it's going to this show is going to touch on social issues. Absolutely. And stuff like that. And we get a little bit of current events in this episode already, later on. So yeah, I definitely think that, it's not just, the survival of man, survival of women without men. It's going to be also surviving what was already established here. There was, racism, there's transphobia, all those different issues.
Right.
So there's going to be a huge part where that's going to play into this show, absolutely, because it plays well into the comic books, and it's going to play well into the show, because those things, as she said, they didn't die with men.
Right.
They're here with people, so yeah, definitely.
And the kicker for this all, when I'm saying that they're coming in hot, this is all happening before the title sequence.
Yeah.
We get all of this, the war and torn, aside from just seeing the racism is as American as baseball, we also see tanks going through the streets. We get some heavy artillery going on. So the idea of when they say a war and torn Boston, they really mean it, and they really give you that that feeling, that vibe, that aesthetic, that the stuff's been going down in this town and it ain't exactly safe.
Yeah.
And I thought it was just a very powerful opening, because it's all before the opening title credit sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get past the title sequence, and then we get York being smart assiness again. We get him trying to dissect who Dr. Mann is without even meeting Dr. Mann, being hey, does she have a TV? But you know what? I don't know if she has a TV. That also, him asking those type of questions is very much so him in the book as well. I don't know if he asked the exact kind of TV or whatever question like that, but he asked very silly things does she have a TV? If she doesn't have a TV, that's very telling. You know what kind of person she is without a TV. But does she have a computer? Of course she has a computer, kind of that kind of stuff. And I just found it to be a nice little lightheartedness from York, who he kind of is. That we don't always get to see, and I just liked it. I thought he just like kind of nailed that little bit of himself.
Yeah, it's I think that's pretty true to who York was in the books on translated into the show, because a lot of times York just talked to talk. You know, he just talked to talk. So, and you get that pretty good in this episode, which I really did like. And it was pretty cool, just, 355 just kind of going along with it. It's fine, but, at the same time, like, you could shut up anytime. So
yeah. You can shut up anytime. And then they're sneaking around like with the military. Like, I liked it. It felt very like secret agent, like woman. 355.
Woman.
And like it felt very like secret agent-y and stuff, and it was really great. And like the way that 355 was like walking around and like kind of examining all of this and like trying to figure it all out. York has a really great line of like calling Boston a really dark spirit at this point, like saying that there's like a lot of hate and bad kind of like here or whatever, like, and it was just neat. I just really liked it. And then 355 leaves York, and this is never a good idea.
Yeah, I think this is the beginning of where I kind of started to have a little bit of, I guess I was a little conflicted on how they were writing 355's character compared from the books into the adaptation of the show. It's not really something she did in the books. She was very concerned about him being in eyesight, because the only time York was alone was when he would sneak away from 355. He'd get away. For instance, in the books, when he sneaks away to go to the monument, when the women are actually at the Washington Monument, I believe. Yeah, they're at the Washington Monument, and he sits down, and he has a conversation. He would do certain things like that.
They had that conversation in episode 6.
Oh, right.
With
yeah. Oh no. Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember.
They actually go into that, but you're
right.
Yeah,
but like, so that's the thing. Like, 355 just didn't do that. Like, she would, like, now given the thing is that when they're in Boston, I mean, as we see, Boston's just basically a military state right now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because there's protesters, there's rioters and stuff like that, and then there's the military who are trying to kind of get things under control, have certain areas of the place, kind of like, protected and stuff like that. But the fact that she just runs off, gives him a knife.
And it's like, here, you stay here, put your mask on and don't move.
And the other thing is like, she never wanted to bring attention to him. He's got a monkey with him, like.
Yeah, right?
Like, Amp's not gonna look at 355 like, got it, right, silence.
Well, no, and then he has the conversation with Amp, like, I don't know, what did you expect me to say? She never given me a knife before. Like, it's just like, it's just so, like, interesting on how, like, but at the same time, like, 355 is very different. Like, here we're starting to see if like she can really be trusted. She's really starting to like divide a line of like of walking that line of like, can you be trusted, can you not, but like, she is, Ashley Romans is still killing it no matter where we're standing on it. She's still great. But yeah, we're seeing this little divergent, almost like in another way of like how we've seen the divergent of like Hero and stuff, and like in this, which is interesting to say for all of this. And but we get 355. She leaves York. York has the conversation with Ampersand. Doesn't know. I don't know. She's never given me a knife before. And then 355 puts on that James Bond charm again when she gets to the military outpost to get in. And she calls her a private. I just want to take my shoes off. I've had a hard day. Like, there is and I just felt that, though, of putting that performance on as, like, Ashley Romans being 355, being this military person who's a part of their group. Putting on that performance, like, character within character, is something that I felt was really good and did a good job of a little bit of, like, 355 from like the comic, because she is able to handle those same kind of situations very sternly, quickly, and like
professionally.
Yeah, professionally, and not get denied.
Yeah, and which she does in this episode. I thought that was a good interaction with her in the private. I mean, because what's also really good about that scene is her confidence, her strength, and noticing that this young woman that she's dealing with to get through is not confident. She's really shaky. They said something that like almost like these they're all a bunch of rookies, like that she has to deal with. So it was pretty easy for her to like go through. So I did like that scene real quick, and then when she gets in there, how she has the conversation with. I don't know if that was a sergeant or a lieutenant.
It was one of the two, but yeah, that lady informs us that sergeant or lieutenant informs us that all the buildings are like that Mann's building was destroyed, that all the science buildings have been destroyed, and they're protecting the art here at Harvard. Which is funny because we 100% heard President Jennifer Brown say "F the art" in like episode 2 of when they were trying to break down of like where to put resources and stuff like that. So it's really funny that like, because again, like at least what we haven't seen yet in the episode, but that power struggle that Jennifer Brown's getting with like Kim and like with Regina Oliver being around and stuff, and like all that stuff's like building. So we're still even seeing it here for a simple thing of where she said F the art, but somebody else was like, no, we need to preserve it.
It might not even be that somebody said that we need to preserve it. I mean, it's a very good theory that it could have been like there could be another type of
like faction or something.
Yeah, somebody they're taking orders from somebody else, or it could just be like, as I said, like it seemed like 355 knew she was dealing with rookies, so they're just kind of like, oh, we got to preserve this. Like, oh, this is what we got to do. But no, like maybe they didn't get the orders correct or something like that. But at the same time, like we said, Boston's kind of war torn.
Yeah.
So, and it seems that Harvard is almost like a military outpost right now.
Yeah.
Not even just for protecting art and the I mean, because all the buildings are historical there.
Yeah.
So it's not even so much about protecting that. It just looks like it's a military outpost as well. So, but yeah.
The other thing that's interesting though is about Dr. Mann's lab and all the science buildings being destroyed there. Is that we still haven't seen. That's like another comparison from the comic. Is that in the comic it's done by Sadie and Alter.
Yeah.
When Dr. Mann, York, and 355 are looking for Amp because he escapes out the window of Mann's lab when they get there. So it's like I love that they just included it. That the difference that they weren't there and discovered her there or whatever. Like none of that really matters. The fact that they're just still saying that like.
It probably came from like protesters and rioters before the military took a presence there. So that's most likely what happened. You never know. It could be another like type of faction from the Amazons, because I mean that's what happens. In the comic books, the Amazons destroy the sperm banks and other labs and stuff like that. So I mean, it could have been. What I would personally think is it was from protesters, rioters. You know, that think that the government's lying to them about what this and that and this and that. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just before military presence was there. So.
Yeah. Then we leave 355. She finds out that Mann's lab's destroyed, so she goes to start looking for York. York, meanwhile, picks the lock that's right behind him into a door next to the dumpster that he's at, because I'm sure it's probably smelly and he'd rather be inside than outside, and it's probably safer to be inside than outside as well. So he does that, and it's great because we actually get to see him do like some of his like escape artistry. Like I love when they highlight him being like an escape artist, but actually like showing us doing that stuff, like him actually doing the card trick. I know it's not escape artistry, but like, or him like getting himself out of the straitjacket. Like these little bits that we've seen, it is awesome because it's just fun to see, but it's also fun to see like the character of York really being like a chance to be York. Like these are the things that he does. He picks locks and he gets them into places in the comics when they can't get in otherwise, or doors are locked, or like it's boarded up so they can't even like try and get a rope up or something and climb their way up to like a second shelf. What am I talking about? But then he meets a couple of people, some tear-gassed rioters.
So the first girl was already there, and then they burst through the door. I shouldn't say rioters, just say they're protesters, but most likely,
Well, so like
probably clashing with the military.
So like that's the thing, because like once you hear them, they're looking like from their side they're just trying to get places to like stay there and get supplies that the military is not giving them. So it's like it's the true thing of like which side are you, or what side have you heard, which side are you like going with, because Yorick has seen like the presidential side, knowing that his mom is attempting to make things right and get things together, but
she's
like
also hiding him.
But she's also hiding him and lying to all of her people that she's meant to be protecting and be like truthful and forthcoming with.
But yeah, he runs into, so they come in tear gassed. They start they're trying to flush their eyes out and everything like that. So the girl asks him to help, and of course he being York, he does. Takes the mask off and everything, and then the exchange between those two is really interesting. How she brought up the Boston Marathon tragedy. So as we played back to like the opening credits with the racism and stuff like that, I thought they were doing a good job of kind of like because I mean this was released years ago, years and years ago. So they've brought up it was post 9/11. They brought up 9/11 and stuff like that. So I think they're doing a good job with the TV show of adapting it to more current events. I mean, Boston Marathon wasn't too long ago. It was only a couple years back, and they bring it up. So they keeping this current with current events and stuff like that. I thought that was it's a nice transition, and it's good.
Well, yeah, because it's not dating itself. It's making itself that like living in the world that we know, as opposed to like a world that we like truly kind of like remember and memorialize. Like so like they're talking the book of like in the comic of like 9/11 and stuff is like kind of happened at the time and then shortly thereafter.
Yeah, like that's the tragedy that they could relate to in the book. So this is more of like the tragedy that we can relate to in
now, because this was like that was a national phenomenon, looking for that guy and finding him in that rowboat and everything like that.
Yeah, which they discuss.
Which they discuss about it, and it's a beautiful lead to what we see later on in the episode of of people going to familiar places and going to places where they're comfortable, and we see that later on with York and 355 and eventually finding Dr. Mann. But before we get there, we get a little visit of the president. Jennifer Brown is told that Regina is landing in an hour from Israel. Hold the phones here. I have been asking for Israel and Alter and Sadie the entire show. The entire season, I have been asking for it. And now you're telling me that things that I didn't think I was going to get this year, I might be getting in this episode? We're halfway there. Because she lands and they meet.
Yeah, but like you could just cut to it. I mean, we didn't see him.
No. Well, so hold on. I got a theory.
Okay.
They specifically cut to the side of Regina Oliver once they meet. Once Jennifer Brown greets Regina Oliver. She gets up. They shake hands. They have their little like power struggle, and it's great. It's a great little lovely scene between them. And they do a really quick cut just to the side of Regina Oliver, and they show two army soldiers. I did pause the episode, stop, and look at it, and it does say U.S. Army on there. Okay. But I wonder if Sadie and Alter stole those uniforms and are staying close, secretly infiltrated.
That's okay.
That's my only take.
That would actually make a lot of sense too.
Right?
Like, that would make a lot of sense.
Because then like Israel has an in on what's going on here at the United States if they're figuring out anything that they're not sharing, blah blah blah, and then that can even spread the word of like the possible last man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it gets that theory, that legend, that mythos going a little bit, even though that's not really something that like they really like ever got into in the book. Like like in the regions that he gets to when York goes to different places, like he kind of in that individual place but we only see like United States, place out in Asia and Australia really.
Yeah. I just want to make a quick comment about when Regina actually shows up, coming up in that wheelchair. Like, I was looking, I was like, man, this is like a Larry Flint, like Ted Nugent like mixture right now. Like, this is a quick comment. I was like looking, I was like, what the heck is happening here?
Yeah,
but anyways,
it was weird. She had like Marty McFly like zip up.
Yeah, like would you jump shit? What's with the life vest? But anyways, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So like that's great, but then we also get we go back then to York in 355 after the Regina Oliver Jennifer Brown meeting.
Yeah, so what is it? They actually find Man's apartment.
They find Man's apartment, and just like in the comic, Man's apartment is empty, but it has the crib.
It's not empty. There's crap everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, there's stuff in it, but, like, there's no person living there.
Yeah, okay, so there's nobody there, but there's a ton of crap all over the place.
True.
It also, I don't think, it didn't look like anybody else had been there. She kind of just left.
Yeah,
The crib was there. It did not look like, it looked like she was preparing to have the crib occupied.
Yeah.
But I just loved York just saying, "Oh, I didn't notice the TV."
Yeah, he makes his comment again about like, "Oh, I didn't notice the TV here." So like that's really great. But then they move on because York makes the call of what he sees from the conversation earlier. He sees all the pictures of Dr. Mann outside of a very specific looking building that appears to be on a Harvard campus because it's like the Union building or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like the Union.
Yeah, and it's a something Union building, and so they go there, and it's similar to the idea of like the conversation they were having of like the rowboat and like being like hiding in someplace familiar but you feel safe in.
Yeah,
kind of that he had earlier talking about the Boston Marathon. That bomber, that horrible person, and in this is great because they find Mann, but I gotta raise the question again is, can 355 be trusted? Because here we see York not really given the chance to really kind of pick the lock. He's really being pressured by 355, but we as the audience had just seen him do this, like when he was just trying to do it before. So it's like, why not give him the true opportunity to really do it, and then you shoot the door open, though.
Yeah, that was my biggest issue. And immediately when I watched it, I was like, why'd she do that? So, as I stated earlier, this is where I finally like started to have, I was kind of conflicted with how 355 was being written and put out there. 355 never would have done that. Mm-hmm. Never would have done that. Her biggest thing was discretion. Nobody can know about York. She can't draw attention to herself or Yorick. And she's clearly standing there watching to make sure no one's coming around.
Yeah.
I mean, she was just talking about Harvard, with the military and everything like that. And all of a sudden, she just shoots a door open. It's just...
It was weird.
It's kind of...
I didn't like it.
It's kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, I
like,
didn't...
It doesn't make sense.
Right, because they're not supposed to be drawing attention to themselves. They're trying to find Dr. Mann. Usually if you blow in a door, you shoot open a door, I would not be calling you friend if I see you shooting open my door. And then we get a direct comparison, almost like a panel for panel, shot for shot, of 355 going up the stairs, seeing the light coming out of the room in the hallway that is very similar to like how 355 and York approach the Dr. Mann's lab in the comic.
Yeah.
And it's great because 355 even put like does the turnaround, put her hand up against to like York, like whoa, and then they walk in there, and then they see that nobody's there. They just have a fire going, so like somebody's there. They have like the gas lamps going and stuff in there, like the oil lamps and stuff. And this is where like things start to get pretty fun because we get the man attack. How about it? Dr. Mann coming in like Norman Bates out of Psycho with that knife and stabs him.
She started stabbing him. I was like, what the heck is going on?
They just shot open her door.
I know, but like I didn't expect that out of Mann. I mean, what was it? She tried to attack him with a baseball bat, I think, in the comic book, and she comes in full blown with a knife. I was like, whoa! Like, yeah, it was pretty intense. I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, I liked the interaction. I liked how it went. But man, yeah, it was kind of like out of nowhere, like with a knife and just started stabbing. I was like, whoa.
But I love York's reaction once he gets stabbed. He's able to he flips like Dr. Mann over him, and he gets on like top of her, and he's like, "Oh God, it's her!" And he falls over. Oh shit. It's Dr. Mann. Here she is. And 355's got like a gun pulled and like in the face of like Dr. Mann and stuff. And yeah, like this whole scene is something that I've been waiting for. The meeting of the trio, of our traveling trio. Ampersand. Damn, we already had the trio with Ampersand. So I guess.
Okay, so you got 3 human. So it's your
3 humans and a monkey.
Yeah. Your trio.
3 humans and a monkey. Yeah. Awesome. But then we get them like the start of this interaction, which as much as we have been talking about wanting York and 355 and the travel of them and the banter between them, the other cog to that wheel, that other spoke to it that really makes that whole traveling situation work and like fun too, is Dr. Mann as well. Is her like she kind of plays like the straight man in like the comedy and like jokes and stuff of it, and like it's a really like she does really great in it.
Do you mean like a straight man as in a heterosexual
male? No.
Oh, you mean like straightforward?
Like straightforward.
Okay. Yeah. No beating around the bush. We're just gonna do this. We're gonna do that. Yeah. In the comics, she's definitely very much like that. As I had a little bit of an issue when we first got introduced to Mann. I kind of felt like it was like a stage play, an over exaggeration, over dramatizing. That like I thought there was just a little too much expression and stuff like that. I understand there was a lot of excitement in those first couple minutes, but other than that, I didn't like the first initial reaction. I just thought it was a little bit overacted. But as we move forward, I kind of grew into it. I mean, I had my issues with moving forward, like when the conversations between York and Mann later on. But I mean, I like the casting of it. I think she's
great.
I think she's great for it. I just thought that very first segment, like very first interaction, I was like, okay,
all right, like
Why the Last Man the musical, basically for me, like.
I mean, we might get a musical number at some point.
No, I'm good.
So I liked the introduction of Mann. I liked it a little bit more definitely than you, but I found her to be like almost perfect in that. Like, God, I just found her so funny. Like, her wildness and stuff, and like I get where where you felt like she was kind of like a stage play, but I have almost a defense for that because later on, like 2 minutes after we leave here, like we go back to like President Brown and like the Pentagon and all that stuff, and we see Christine, and we have the Kim and Christine bathroom stuff, so we know that it's been about 12 weeks since the incident. So I really wonder when the last time Dr. Mann had an interaction with somebody was, because in theory she may not have talked to anyone in 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So like true. So then that would explain her like almost manic wild woman like living out in the wilderness, kind of like over the topness. So then I start thinking, is that like, see dude, this is what this show makes me do. It makes me think about this stuff.
Oh man.
And but so like for me, that's my defending of like the performance of where I was like, oh, that makes sense, because you're right. Up until we get the scene later where we find out it's been about 12 weeks since the incident, that I was in about the same boat. I was like, this is a little too much. And then it's like, it's a little too much because she's probably been super secluded by herself.
Your thought process on that probably would also kind of give more reason for what happens later on, like when they have their conversations in their hangout session later on in the episode. So it actually maybe gives it more. It makes it a more clear picture for me now, because like I said, I was like, oh man, she's overreacting, and then later on, like I had my issues with it too, because like as we said, she's kind of stiff, she's straightforward, she's no nonsense, and then she does the hangout session with Yorick later, is kind of like, that's not what man would do. But then again, you saying that. Possibly 12, maybe even longer.
Could be, like... Yeah, so. I mean, because, like, Christine and, like, we can just move on to, like, Kim and Christine now. Like, Christine has told us that, like, man is, like, a sort, quote-unquote, like, compromised person, because she has, like, tried to deal with, like, people that the U.S. government would consider an enemy or a non-ally.
Yeah.
And so, like, all of that is very interesting. But then we get a really weird Kim scene. We get the Kim in the bathroom scene. And she drops her purse, and all the toys come out. And, like, the crayons that she's been stealing. So, like, dude, is she just going down to her friend who's like, you deserve a spot because you helped your husband? Is she just going down there trying to steal? Like, I don't
really understand what's happening. Like, this is one thing that I like really could not understand what was going on with.
So I don't really have like a defense of it. I can only assume that it is her form of grieving about losing her kids.
Yeah,
and like somehow having some sort of safety in having these toys and trinkets and stuff, and maybe hoping that new life can happen. Because to be fair, this stays with like who Kim is as a character. She was very worried about the sperm banks and everything. She wanted that. We talked about that, like, there is no future without the men. We are just trying to survive the present. Yeah. That conversation happened between Kim and Jennifer Brown, and so like we know that like kids and like wanting to raise kids and having another generation is like Kim's 100% goal. Like, do you agree? Like, right? Yeah. That's probably without like her overtly saying it, but that's like her goal. That's what she wants.
Yeah.
And so that's the only thing I can think of, is that like she does this because it gives her some sort of comfort in that grief of that loss. Otherwise, I find it odd. Like, I don't understand where, like, I don't understand.
Yeah. I didn't, like I said, I didn't really have much for that. I was just kind of like, I'll let this play out. I'm sure it's gonna be discussed later.
Well,
I was like, I can't really come up with a theory or a reason. Maybe it is a grieving,
right?
A form of grieving. I'm not exactly sure.
Right. I'm not. I have no idea. But then, like, that whole bathroom scene is weird though, because she spills her purse. Christine runs into the stall, and not actually like physically runs, like falls over, but goes into the stall to take care of her stuff. And then Kim starts blackmailing Christine in the bathroom. So first we have Kim showing us that she's collecting all of these like crayons and little bits of toys for kids that we've seen. There are kids here, like younger kids from like the ages of 6 to like 10, a variety of girls there at the Pentagon and stuff. So like she's taking away these children's playthings. Like that's not cool. And like coloring, like I mean, in like an apocalyptic world, there's very few things to do. I don't understand it. But then she starts blackmailing Christine, like, Christine, I don't know if you're involved with anything with Jennifer Brown or the helicopters or anything like that. But I would, if there is something that you want to tell me or you can tell me, please tell me. And then she, like, she's blackmailing Christine in the bathroom.
Yeah, and it's stupid. And it doesn't really make sense. But then again,
to be fair, Kim does a complete 360 once she kind of catches on to why Christine is in there.
Yeah.
And Christine is in the bathroom because she apparently might be having a miscarriage.
She sees
blood. She sees blood, and she says she sees a lot of it. Kim does a really great thing. Like for somebody who was just trying to blackmail someone to then help clean somebody up, like that's a 180. That's a 360 change. Like that's a different person then. So I got to give Kim credit of like doing the right like human thing, helping out that way.
Yeah, but
I also feel that this is. I also feel that this might be the unwinding of Christine, because she says she doesn't want anyone to know. Kim takes Christine to a doctor. They see Christine is pregnant. She's about 12 weeks. That's where we get the And
it's a girl, most likely.
Yeah.
Probably to Kim's dismay. Like, oh no. Because that's immediately what she asked. Can you tell if it's a boy?
Yeah. We'd have to do a blood test, the doctor says, but it's safe to say you're definitely having a girl.
So, that scene, though. So, two things. That scene with the doctor at the ultrasound, her emotions. I got a little...
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I got a little choked up. I was like, because... As of what she says, there's been so much death. It's so nice. It's such a relief to see something like this.
Yeah, something good.
And it was you don't really as a viewer, you don't really think about that. But I think they all did a really good job of actually like trying to be in that moment. I mean, Christine's having an even worse time with this. Like they're seeing magic at the same time. She doesn't know what to do really. So she's having a hard time with that. But I really liked that scene, but also if you think about it, as Christine says, do you want to can you not blackmail me or whatever now?
Yeah.
Now, but Kim has something to blackmail her with.
Yeah.
Even more than what she was going on about. I think it was about the pilots.
Yeah.
The missing helicopters. Now she's got something even 10 times more volume to blackmail her with, which could play a role later on, which I think it will, especially with Regina,
with Kim finding out, Regina just getting here, Christine finding out that she's pregnant, and Christine very adamantly saying like nobody can know about this.
Yeah.
So like once I heard those words come out of Christine's mouth, I was like, oh no, this might be a betrayer to Jennifer Brown in the end. It definitely is. Like it might be.
Like
maybe not. Maybe,
Christine though. You're saying Christine. No.
Like I think Christine might be might truly feel blackmailed by Kim and stuff about the kid
to do what she can do.
Yeah, to have to do something like that. Because to be fair, right now the only people in that building that know that Yorick truly is alive still. President Brown and Christine. Marla saw, but they are trying to convince Marla that she was just seeing things. She just saw.
Plus, we haven't seen her.
Yeah, we haven't seen her since.
She might have left.
She might have left to go bury her husband and her boys, she said she wanted to do. She didn't want an escort. She just wanted to leave. But Kim has this want to be a part of it and take over for her father, or take in her father, stop walking her father's shoes, and do all of that. So she stays for sure, even if Marla may not be there or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
We haven't seen her again yet. So then, where do we go next?
355. Before we got to that scene, 355 went to go contact Jennifer Brown, and the phone was broken.
By her.
Yeah, I actually think that was an accident, but she leaves.
Yeah.
She leaves York with Man, which they both had their concerns about it.
And so, to be absolutely fair, she goes to the address from the locker. I said originally that was the address of Dr. Mann's lab. I was wrong. That is not the address to Dr. Mann's lab. That was the address to who we come to find out, a person named Fran.
Which I think is through 7-Eleven.
From the comic?
Yes, I believe it might be 7-Eleven.
Oh.
That's just a personal opinion. Of course, duh. That's why I said it.
Yeah, right.
Duh.
That's a hot take, though. It could be, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's 7-Eleven. And we get introduced to was it
525?
525. The fight scene was pretty cool.
That fight scene was gnarly.
It shows a little bit of what kind of skills they actually have.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because so what's good about this fight scene compared to her fighting the Stadies or fighting anybody else, she's fighting amateurs. Mm-hmm. This is another one that's at her level.
Yeah.
Who has the same type of training, clearly because they go to the same person's house. So it was a good fight scene. I really felt like that was while watching it. It was a struggle. Like, it starts off kind of fast-paced, and then all of a sudden it's just like they're beat down, which I thought was really good, and all of a sudden it's just heavy breathing and, like, I thought don't do it, and, I don't want to keep doing this.
It was one of the most, like, realistic fights, I feel like, that I've seen, because, like, it shows, like, the windedness. People can only go for so long.
Yeah.
Like even professionals who do this get a break between rounds, a quick breather between rounds, Like, so this, like, the non-stopness of it was really cool. I liked it all. I also like, I don't know, when people are just able in, like, movies and TV to just, like, pull out their clips, like, really quickly and, like, do just freaking weird handgun like tricks like that and stuff. Like, I'm always impressed with it.
Yeah, I thought that whole scene and the whole interaction, that whole sequence of them together, the interactions really good. The conversations were good. Like, you kind of find out they both kind of have the same story. Like,
yeah,
I was on this and then I got pulled out and then it happened. Kind of hinting that maybe the culprit ring knew something was going down.
Yes, I got that, but 355 lies because 355 did her job. She was done. She blew up the house in Texas. That was the end of
but
it.
I think she said that. No, it was Oklahoma.
But yeah.
God, Jimmy, do you pay attention?
What did I say?
Texas.
It happened in Texas in the comic. I'm
yeah. The thing is that why I think she did that is because since Fran's not there, she doesn't really know who she can trust, because that's who she was trying to get some answers. And I think she did that because also she's not going to explain that she was with the president when it happened, when it all went down.
Yeah.
So I think she kind of went with and I mean, it's not too far off from a lie. I mean, she just finished a job.
She did.
And it started happening.
And so, like, the only thing that she lied about is that her previous job, she got pulled from. She finished her previous job. And then, but the starting that first day is true. Like, so, like, she tells a half-truth. But I specifically pointed out because it goes back to the questions we've been asking about 355. Can she be trusted? Now, I get with her...
But then again, to be fair to 355, can anyone be trusted?
I don't know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that maybe that's why. We got to also look at that. Can 355 be trusted? But then again, in the end, can anybody be trusted right now? I mean, I think we can trust
this new
York.
operative that you just, like, had a battle royale with.
Yeah,
like,
they don't know each other.
Like, they don't know each other from Wednesday. And, so, like, I get, like... not giving away anything else, but for, like, me as a viewer of trying to figure out where her alliance really is, do we really trust her? Does she truly have her own ulterior motive? Because we did see her break the phone. We hear her lie And like we have these questions.
I thought she broke the phone because she couldn't get in contact with Jennifer Brown.
No, she breaks the phone. So she just like she turns it on, like looks at it for a second, looks up like she has an idea or a thought, then breaks it.
Okay, I don't really know.
We get an explanation, or she gives us an explanation of why she did it in episode 6.
Oh, okay.
We get a quick line of it in episode 6.
Okay. I'll have to refresh.
And once we get to episode 6, I'll remind you.
I'm totally invested in this, guys. All right, I just my mind doesn't work like it used to. Okay.
So. All right, we totally
lost track because I was all like, I don't remember things.
355. No. They're at the house still. So 355 is at the house. With
we can move on from that, but we gotta mention one thing. Now.
Yes.
The nightstick.
Yes.
The signature weapon.
Yes.
And the pose.
And the pose.
That is like literally they do that. They actually have that pose several times throughout all the books, the entire series of the books. Like. You always know something's about to go down when all of a sudden it's just like, whoosh. All of a sudden you hear, like, you see the nightstick. Because, like, I think it's in one of the future books. I think when they're reminiscing about something, they run, I think it's Dr. Mann and York are running out of the woods. I can't remember. 355 is either with Rose or somebody. And they say there's cannibals. They're all eating each other. And 355 just goes, it's cool, I'll take care of it, and just whoosh. And you're like, oh, yeah. So when we saw that, I was just like, nice. Like, that's her weapon of choice. And this might be a good thing that it's her weapon of choice. Because we've seen her fight with one nightstick. That was against the Stadies, but she stole that. Yeah. Now she's got her retractable nightstick.
Yeah.
Like,
well, because like that's her signature move, and that's the other thing about the house is that she gets a few more guns and weapons and stuff to be able to help protect her.
And she finds something.
The tracker and what else am I missing that she found?
No, that was it.
Oh, okay.
No, you got it.
Okay.
Nope, you got it.
And then we move back?
So that's the thing though. Like in the house though, all the trackers are red.
Right.
So like, so basically it's saying that you can't find like. I think
she never took one.
Yeah, 525. Yeah, it's like because I don't know where she's at. There's nothing here for her. So
yeah.
Because anyways, we'll get to that at the end. But I think after that we move on to Mann and York again, and this is like we were talking about their hangout.
So before 355 leaves to find 525, she says, "Charm her." She said 355 says to York, "Be charming."
Yeah.
And he's like, "What? I'm like a charmer," and I was just like, "Snake charmer."
Like her standing on the stairs. Like weirdly staring at him, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, look." He's always. I really like Ben.
Yeah,
as Yorick. I think
he's so good.
I think he's really fun, and I know it's not like how Yorick is in the comic books, but I think he's doing a good adaptation of on screen, like a live.
His performance is really great.
Yeah, I think he's fun.
He gives a great performance. But the other thing is that then now we've got Yorick and Dr. Mann having their drunken bonding over Chardonnay. And
when he asked for like water, she's like, "We got Chardonnay," and they're like, okay,
yeah, let's do that."
So this was okay. So this conversation, before we get into a little bit of the deep of it, like this was another thing that I was like opposed to, as I stated earlier. I was like, "This isn't Dr. Mann. Dr. Mann wouldn't do this." She, like we said, straightforward, stiff, She does not like Yorick. And to be honest, throughout most of the books, she really doesn't like Yorick. She's kind of upset that she has to deal with Yorick when she could just have Amp and figure out everything else.
Which is something that's so funny about like her always trying to become friends with Amp. Because I have a sneaking suspicion that she is going to try and steal Amp and just run away.
Based off of your thought process of she hasn't seen anybody in 12 weeks, and I think that's why this little let's get drunk together and let's have a little chit chat about things. You're right. She hasn't had that type of interaction. I'm sure she didn't have much interaction before that. I mean, she was kind of a shut-in. Besides, she was a professor in the books. Besides that, she really didn't interact with too many people.
Yeah.
She really didn't have friends. But yeah, I mean, I think they could get anybody to like, oh my god, there's other people. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll hang out with him, and it's a man.
Yeah.
This is actually a real
Well,
man, so she's kind of like I could like pick at what he's been doing.
The secondary thing that I think helps it is the fact, like, aside from them getting drunk, is the fact that, like, York is like, oh, tell me. Because, like, York clearly says, like, all the men died. And then this sends Dr. Mann, like...
into a rant.
Into a rant, but, like...
A very, very...
intelligently spoken...
and informative rant.
And, like, talking about, like... And basically getting down to the simple fact that there was such a loss of just life.
It wasn't just men, human beings.
Not just men, not just humans. Anyone with a Y chromosome across the world,
I'm sorry,
across
any thing, any creature
with a Y. Correct. Any creature, animal, thing, living thing with a Y chromosome on it went away.
Yeah, it's gone.
And she, like, they're very, like, manic and stuff and, like, just, like, talking about it. And she's like, and I'll tell you another thing. But then once she gets to the point of, like, talking about just the pure loss of life, like, it's a really great, like, sad, like...
It's a somber moment. And she kind of... And you notice as she says on animal after animal... Mm-hmm. She gets a little bit more, and people are like, "Oh, well, she was just drunk." But like, yeah, but when you're drunk, your emotions come out.
Yeah.
And you notice she gets a little bit quieter with each animal. She gets a little bit, like, seems a little bit more tired, as in, like, eventually, as it goes along, these animals are going to become extinct, which, in the end, it doesn't bode well for human life either way. And then they sit down and they talk a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really fun scene. I mean, again, like, it was like, oh, in the comic book, she doesn't like this, but... As you stated, 12 weeks without seeing anybody, maybe even longer. It's nice to see somebody. Yeah. It's nice to have that communication. Even if I didn't like it before, it's it's nice to see that.
Like even if she thinks, like, truly, and she, like we find out a little bit more, like, with their interaction, Dr. Mann is very just unimpressed with, like, York and stuff. She is absolutely way more enthralled with, like, Ampersand.
Throughout almost the entire series, she just really could. She's only keeping him alive because she has an ulterior motive of, you know, if it doesn't work out with Amp, she can maybe duplicate. I forget. I don't know. The science stuff I'm not good with.
No.
Like, this conversation that she has in here, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure York was too, like this. Uh-huh. Like, he agreed to everything. Everything, but he was so drunk, he's probably like, I have no idea what she's talking about. No idea. And, yeah, I mean, that was a really good time. Like, because she has this conversation in the comic.
Yeah.
Similar to it, but it's not until they're already on their journey to San Fran, and like, I think they're in Arizona.
Yeah.
When they're in Arizona, and she says, what is it? It's, pygmy rats, or... pygmy gophers or something. Like, it's a specific animal that comes to her mind. And then she goes on and on and on about, like, how certain things are. So it's good that she got this out of the way, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, because, like, you're trying to explain stuff to Yorick on why this is such... even in a drunken stupor, she's trying to explain why this is so important.
And why
he is actually so important, even without saying that.
But also why... he and Amp together are, like, insane.
You can't have... Yeah, you can't really separate them.
Like, it's insanity that they are together.
Yeah.
And stuff. And both of them together, alive, and all of that. It's wild. So then...
We already went over Regina arriving and stuff like that. Which, as I stated... You know, Larry Flint, Ted Nugent rolling in, just, I mean, whatever. I know they kind of try to give her, like, that intimidating look of, like, you know, I'm here to, like, take over and stuff like that. I thought Jennifer Brown did a good job of, like...
Well, Jennifer Brown and her people, like, said that they weren't going to, like...
Yeah, and they're happy
she's
safe, they're happy that she's doing well.
And they want her to, like, help and, like, do a job and, like, do things. But, like, as of right now, Jennifer Brown is president.
Yeah.
Which is something that I don't know if they really discussed super heavily, but it made it seem like they elected her when Jennifer Brown is president, sort of, or, like, elected her via committee when Regina Oliver was unbeknownst to be around.
Yeah, I wasn't. Like, I didn't pick up on that either.
They kind of like, well, no. They say it in like in a very passing thing. Like I think it's actually even Regina or Kim that actually say it. It's like she's not really the president. Like they just appointed her or something like that. So it was like a committee of like Congress that was
I have my problem with Regina being there is I think this is just going to amplify Kim into thinking that she's more of a role, more of a superior role. Like because she says like later on like what is it? You have friends now? Mm-hmm. Friends are with you or something like that. And I'm
have friends here.
Yeah, and then Jennifer Brown kind of walks in on that. But, but my problem is that when Kim was talking to Regina, the entire time I felt like Regina was just like, I'll say, who is this bitch? Mm-hmm. Like, I knew your dad. You're not your dad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who the hell you're talking to. Oh, you have friends now? No, you're... Like, I kind of felt like Regina kind of looked at her like, you're lucky that I'm here.
Think about...
You're lucky I'm here now.
Like,
So I think Regina's going to be the one where like, man, F you. Kim, you're okay.
I think Regina will use Kim to a point and then, like, sweep the rug out from underneath her.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely see that happening. And it's easy to do it to Kim because Kim is very vulnerable.
I think Kim will feel that she will be a right-hand, like, woman to Regina in a lot of ways, and it's just not going to be true because Regina, cares only about Regina. And we're going to find, like, that out. That's my call on that. And so, we did kind of jump around, I guess, like that conversation of like the Dr. Man and like the genetics and all that
because
stuff.
because they do have a conversation after that, like I guess they kind of sober up, and you see like York turns away because Man's all of a sudden like got her shirt off and stuff, like 'cause Man don't care, she don't care about nothing, like even if York and Amp are there she still feels like she's alone. She throws her shirt on and but what you see is you see a couple scars. They almost look like C-section scars. I don't know. I can't pronounce the actual word for it. So I'm just going to say C-section. That's what they almost look like. From the comic books, I would say they're injection sites for cloning purposes.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't read the comic book, it's pretty much what Dr. Man was into.
Yeah, she liked to clone.
Yeah, she was into that stuff, man.
Totally.
So, like... I liked that little interaction of Ben being like, "Oh,
yeah,
okay, well,
I don't know how to look, and where to look and stuff." But that's totally a York.
But that leads into I saw the crib. I saw the crib, and I was
and that's an important thing because like York wants to have a connection with the people he's traveling with. To at least maybe not like, hey, we're gonna be the best buddies in the world. We're the 3 best friends in the world. But like more so like I want to make sure that like we feel okay, like we feel like friends or at least like people we can trust. Even if we're not super close, we feel like it's okay. And it's a matter for him because he's not a terrible person, York. So the idea of somebody having a kid or having a kid and losing a kid is like something he would find like empathetic and be like, that's sad. I understand loss. Like that sucks. I don't know what it means to have a kid, but I can understand loss. Like look at what a lot of us have just lost. Like we can comfort each other and like grow together and do this. He's trying to like make her his friend in that sense. So like that's his way in is like the emotional angle of being like, because he can't do, because like as we find out there is no sexual angle for him because she says she's gay.
Straight up says
so, like
I'm gay.
Up, like straight up. And so so then like
good for you, man. Good for you.
Right? Like so with that being there, then there's like the only way you have is like a friendship that can have an emotional side to it, to where like you guys go through things together and like have some experiences, and loss, grieving and stuff like that can be something that bonds people together. And so then that's really it's almost the end of the episode.
Yeah,
right?
355 barges in, says, "Hey, I got the okay. You know, we can go to San Fran. I talked to the president. It's fine." And it's like, liar!
That's very true. So, like, again, this bag. So let's move.
So wait. I'm gonna just be real quick. So we always do the ending questions. The ending questions. Is that gonna be on the list? Can 355 be trusted?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. I just want to. Just double checking.
Yeah. So, like, final thoughts of.
Well, no. We didn't really touch on that. I mean, 355 does come back.
Yeah.
And she says that she taught Jennifer Brown we could go to San Francisco, which she didn't. She didn't touch her at all.
She didn't get a new phone.
She didn't tell them where they were.
She never made a phone call. This goes into more of like what she's been doing. She didn't tell Jennifer Brown. I guess plausible deniability now at this point about the helicopters and stuff. She didn't tell him about the helicopters or the pilots.
Yeah.
She didn't tell York about breaking the phone or anything like that.
I just thought of something. So we stated earlier that they find nothing at the house. Him. There's only one him, and that's York. 355 and 525 find nothing basically at the house at
Fran's house.
At Fran's house. So they find like nothing. They open, and so 355 opens up that tracker bag. Like there's a she didn't have a tracker or something like that. And then you see, look, like everything was red in there, and it's like, okay, so she didn't have a tracker. But then I just realized, so at the end of the episode, I know I stated this earlier, she finds a tracker that's green, which means she found a tracker that's working. So now I just think about this of, that's probably why she didn't call or anything, because those trackers clearly give an indication of where they might be. Mm-hmm. Okay, in the comic books, if it is 7-Eleven, and this is another reason why I think it's 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's in Colorado.
Yeah.
Colorado is someone on the way to San Francisco.
Yeah.
So that's another reason I think it might be the 7-Eleven. We might run into what 7-Eleven does, which is an intervention, but that will be touched on probably maybe even season 2 or season 3.
Yeah.
But we'll touch on that at some other time. But I think that's another reason that it's 7-Eleven.
Fran is 7-Eleven.
Yeah, and I just realized that, like, I just thought about that now. Like, it might give the indication, a direction of it's this way.
So I always thought that with the tracker was red, always meant that it was dead or not turned on.
Yeah, and then there was a green one.
But so I thought there was one red one and one green one she had, meaning that she broke it. Like, broke because there's always two light lines of them. Oh, so right. I thought everything else still in the bag was red, meaning she took out the green one to activate that one and possibly maybe leave it.
Or did she put it on 525?
Or did she put it on 525?
Thinking that she knew where she was.
Or did she? Yeah.
Okay, never mind. What I said, stupid. Well, it's not that stupid, but that makes more sense than what I said.
I think the
forgot.
I think the tracker at the end is either something that 355 either put 525. I didn't think that was you putting that out there. I was actually thinking she hit it on York somewhere so that she could always find York.
Okay.
That was my initial thing when I first saw that, was that this is how she's always going to keep a tab on York. Maybe she might even take out another one on Man because she has that whole bag there.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
So I thought that, but you're right.
She could have done it to 525 as well to see if she actually knew
to
where. To
see if 525 could lead them there. Yeah.
Okay, there's a couple more questions for the final thoughts.
And then, so moving on to our final thoughts. First, well, I think we've already answered, like, can 355 be trusted? And it's up in the air.
We haven't answered anything. We haven't answered nothing, yeah.
But I mean, like, it's really up in the air because she is still keeping York safe, which is what she's always said she was going to do.
Yeah.
Like, she says that once they get Dr. Mann, they'll look for Beth. He believes Beth is in Ohio now. Ohio is also on the way to San Francisco. So my next question really is like, where is Beth? Will we see Beth again? Maybe in episode 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 now, because we're at the midway point. This is the end of episode 5.
I'm gonna say no.
So we're halfway there.
I'm calling it right now. No.
You say no?
Actually, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think Beth is ever gonna show up again.
Really?
I think they hired that actress for one couple scenes, and that was all right, we'll call you for season 5.
We'll call you for season 5.
Okay, thanks guys.
And then of course, where's Sam and Hero?
Yeah, there was nothing of them, so
no Sam, no Hero.
We left them off at the Sam's Costco club.
Yeah, Sam's Costco, Walmart,
the
big old box store that had all the stuff. We had met Roxanne and all of them. So where's Hero and Sam? Are they still okay?
Well, we know where they are. They're most likely with them. Yeah, it said, are they okay? What's going on with them? They were accepted at the final episode.
Right.
Nora did bring up the hey, don't let them know who you are. Karen. Was it Karen?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Don't let them know who you are, Karen.
Yeah. So yeah, we know where they are. We just don't really know what's going on with them. And my favorite part of the episode is the next question you were probably going to ask.
Yeah.
Of course.
I put up the 2 for 2 more questions.
Oh, yeah. My favorite part of the episode... I don't know if I really have a favorite part of the episode.
I got 2. 2. No question.
Go ahead. Then you go.
All right, so my 2, without question, are the fight between 355 and 525. Amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was really good.
That's really great.
That was really well choreographed and very well. Really well done.
I liked the second portion of the drunken stupor of where we see Dr. Mann really kind of turn on the emotion of where we really start feeling it in her voice and how she's delivering her lines and everything of that true sadness that she has. That really moved me. I felt it. And so those are my 2, without a doubt, my 2 favorite parts of this episode that I would say. Do you have one, or are you still kind of all of it, none of it?
No, I mean, I stated earlier to Jimmy that this wasn't my favorite episode. I thought there was a lot of different contrast from book to the screen. Yeah.
Right.
To the screen. I thought there was a lot of contrast in Man, and there was a lot of contrast in 355's character alone. I actually think probably my favorite part was actually just when he ran into the girl, when he helped out the girls that got tear gassed and he had the conversation with them.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a realistic moment.
You're right.
Yeah,
that's another really good touching one.
Realistic moment, touching on, more current events to this time period, and of course him being reckless with just taking off the mask because they just think he's transitioned and stuff like that. So that was probably my favorite part. It's small, it's minimal, but I think it was a good thing for York on that one. So, but yeah, I think that was it.
All right, what makes you recommend this?
It's still got to be the acting. I know I'm having a little bit of trouble with some of the transitions from, again, adaptation from book to screen. I still think Ashley Roman's is doing an amazing job. Mm-hmm. I'm not liking a lot of her recklessness on how it's being written, but the way that she's been doing it is really well.
True.
I know I had a couple issues with Dr. Mann, but actually you kind of put that in a little better perspective.
I think you had to live in that world a little bit to appreciate that. I mean, I watched it 3 times, so me telling you this is after watching that episode 3. I watch all of them 3 times and then I write up I write up notes and everything.
I watched it
twice. So yeah, after that, it literally got better each rewatch. I was like, man is good. Man is good. And so I had.
I just hope it does die down a little bit, and she does turn into that, because I liked that about Dr.
She does.
I think she probably will too. Yeah.
I mean, again, this is the first real full-on episode that we got with her. She has been a magically talked about unicorn for the
and it wasn't
episodes.
Just oh my god, we ran into Dr. Mann, end episode. Yeah. It was we actually had an episode of her, so
and we got to see a little bit of her. Yeah. So that was really great. I still back the cast. I'm also going to throw this little nugget out there. Pay attention to the score in this stuff. I have slowly, from about episode 3 4 on, I've really started noticing the score a lot more. And I don't know if it's very intentional, just due to like the subject matter and how they want to display the stuff on screen and how they want us to like get it all. But my 2 reasons to recommend the show: cast and the score. That's what I would say. That's all I have today.
I'm good.
All right. So thank you again for joining us. I'm Jimmy. He's Ed. This is the Triple C Collective. Comparisons for Y the Last Man, Episode 5. You guys have a great day. Thanks.